السلام عليكم طلابي الأعزاء، أهلا وسهلا بكم في قناتي تعلم الإنجليزية مع مس أريج. اليوم إن شاء الله سوف نكمل مع IELTS، كيف أتفوق في امتحان الآيلتس الحلقة 11. لازلنا في قسم listening لهذا الامتحان. لنبدأ. اليوم سوف نتطرق إلى نوع جديد من الأسئلة، وهو short answer questions. هي أسئلة نادرة إلى حد ما في الآيلتس. أنا شخصيا لم يمر علي في الامتحانات التي امتحنتها، ولكن هو موجود ويسمى ب short answer لأنه you're going to write a very short answer, approximately 2 to 3 words. النوع there are two types of these questions. Number one أو type A is you will have a question requiring an answer of no more than 3 words for 1 mark. يعني a question with an answer of 3 words, not more than that. Well, this is worth 1 mark. Okay, يعني عليه علامة واحدة. Type 2, it's an instruction to make a list of things, each for 1 mark. Okay, يعني حيكون عندنا زي instruction، زي تقريبا تعليمات أو توجيهات بأن نعمل لستة أو نختار لستة أشياء أو قائمة بالأشياء يعني بالأصح، وكل واحدة عليها ستكون علامة واحدة. طبعا type 2 has more marks as you can notice. لدينا هنا هذا السؤال. طبعا مطلوب منا write no more than 3 words for each answer. نلتزم بهذا 3 كلمات، ولاحظوا ليس هنالك أرقام. Number 1, according to the woman, what type of education should be free today? Expect here, طبعا كما هو مكتوب هنا, expect to hear something about funding for different types of education. هنا يطلب منك أن تتوقع أنك ستسمع عن تمويل عدة أنواع من التعليم. هذه الجملة استثنائية، يعني لن تجدها دائما في الامتحان، جملة توضيحية أو ما شابه. Number 2 الآن, according to the man who is working too hard in the National Health Service. طبعا لاحظوا هنا woman بعدين man. السؤال الثالث, what form of energy does the woman recommend? لاحظوا كلمة recommend قد تكررت معنا كثيرا. Number 4, name 2 trades mentioned by the man. اذكر نوعين من التجارة يعني تحدث عنهما الرجل. Number 5, name 2 countries where you pay to use the roads. And number 6, what has replaced newspapers for many young people? Replace بمعنى حلت مكان newspapers الصحف. طبعا يعني على الأغلب تعرفونها، لكن ارتأيت أن أذكر المعنى. الآن إذا سوف نسمع كما هو ظاهر أكثر من حوار، يعني هو لن يكون تسجيلا واحدا، هي عدة تسجيلات بسبب وجود أحيانا man أحيانا woman. إذا سوف نستمع ونتذكر no more than 3 words، وسأقوم بإظهار الإجابات أثناء الاستماع. لنبدأ الآن.
Track 20. 1.
Would you mind answering a few questions for a survey I'm doing?
Not at all.
How do you feel about the funding for university education? Do you think it should be free, or should people have to pay?
Well, in the past, I used to believe that university education was a basic right and should be free, but...
But you don't now?
Well, it's hard to say. I definitely believe everyone should have access to free secondary schooling, but I'm not so sure about university. People sometimes don't value things when they're free.
Oh, I don't know about that.
2.
As a medical student, how do you feel about the idea of private healthcare?
I'm really against it. I think it's everybody's basic right to receive free medical treatment.
Yes, but look at the mess the National Health Service is in here. The hospitals are overcrowded, the young doctors are doing 16-hour shifts. It's exploitation.
Yes, but at least we have a health service.
Well, I think basic treatment should be available in public hospitals, but if people have the money, they should also be able to have private treatment.
But then you have a dual system, one for the rich and one for the poor.
3.
So, Joe, how are you going with your assignments on alternative energy sources since our discussion last week?
Well, one thing is certain, the nuclear debate is back. We've seen how much pollution oil and coal-fired power stations generate, and the consequences of global warming are now really clear. so we have to find an alternative.
But it doesn't have to be nuclear, surely. What about wind or solar energy? And
Yes, we know about all that, but it isn't sustainable. It's not going to keep a city of 12 million people going through the winter, whereas nuclear energy could.
4.
Do you think it's a good policy to encourage young people to stay on at school after the age of 16?
I don't believe in forcing teenagers to stay on at school if they really aren't enjoying it.
Oh, I'm not sure about that. They're not really old enough to know what's good for them, are they?
Yes, but school can be very boring. I think a lot of kids are better off leaving school at 16 and learning a trade, you know, something like hairdressing or building or carpentry. There's a desperate shortage of these people, you know.
Maybe. But I really regret leaving school early, just because I wasn't encouraged to stay on.
5.
I've been looking at the pros and cons of public versus private funding for highways as part of my economics assignment. Private funding is really the way to go.
Well, it may get the roads and tunnels built, but then we, the motorists, have to pay a fortune to use the roads. I mean, look at the cost of the city tunnel here.
But that's okay. If you use the road, you should pay for it. They've been building toll roads like this for years in places like France and Italy and America.
Yes, I know, but I still think the state should fund this kind of thing.
Well, if you don't pay when you use it, you'll have to pay higher taxes. Either way, you're going to pay.
She's got a point, you know.
6.
OK, Marion, how did you go with your newspaper survey? Are people still buying papers, or are they a thing of the past?
Well, our survey has basically shown that older people still buy papers, but that most young people don't.
Can you tell us a little more?
Yes. Well, 80% of the people under 25 that I interviewed said they didn't buy a paper, but read the news on the internet.
That's interesting. And what did you discover, Rosa?
Well, my group of over 25s nearly all bought a newspaper each day.
والآن لدينا هنا النوع الثاني من الأسئلة. Choose the correct letter A, B or C. إذن هنا سوف نختار من متعدد. ننظر بسرعة كالمعتاد إلى السؤال What pleased the tutor about Jamie's composition? Please it means to make someone happy. Tutor بمعنى teacher وهذه تأتي كثيرا أيضا. Composition بمعنى التعبير يعني كان يكتب موضوع تعبير. إذن هنا الoptions It was well researched. It was neatly presented. Neatly بمعنى بشكل مرتب. It included plenty of data or data يعني يجوز لفظها بالطريقتين يعني الكثير من المعلومات. Plenty of بمعنى a lot of. Number 2, how will the tutor make sure that the students work on relevant topics? Relevant بمعنى ذات علاقة يعني مرتبطة بالموضوع. عكس كلمة relevant irrelevant يعني ما له دخل أو لا علاقة له. الoptions هنا by asking them to get together to discuss their choices, by talking to each student individually بمعنى بشكل فردي, by handing out a list of topics to the class. إذن سوف نستمع الآن ونختار الإجابة الصحيحة.
Track 21. 1.
Jamie, what did your tutor think about your essay on wildlife conservation?
Oh, I got quite a good grade, but there was a long written comment at the end of it.
Yeah, I got one too.
He said I could have spent more time on the background.
Yes, me too. I should have done a bit more reading.
I left out all that stuff about polar bears, which is pretty important, I guess.
He said he liked the fact that I'd used lots of statistics to support my argument.
2.
I'd like everyone to prepare a presentation for the tutorial sessions throughout the semester.
Are you going to give us a list of topics, or can we choose our own?
It's up to you to come up with a suitable topic, as long as it's related to the course.
What if we all choose the same topic? Should we get together as a group to discuss this?
No, but I'd like you to make a time to come and discuss it with me personally so that I can see if you're on the right track.
Wouldn't it be easier to just give us a list of topics?
I think you'll find my suggestion allows you more flexibility.
الآن لننتقل إلى هذا النوع من الأسئلة. حيث نقوم بعمل matching as you can see. طبعا دائما يعطوننا احتمالات أكثر من العدد المطلوب. What we have to do here is to choose 3 answers only from this box. Let's go through them very quickly. So here you need to choose 3 as we said, and we're talking about advantages. That's the good points or the good things about good work prospects, plenty of work opportunities, and lower entry requirement. تقريبا في فرق بسيط بين كلمة work prospect and work opportunity. هنا بمعنى إمكانية العمل، هنا بمعنى فرص العمل، يعني في فرق بسيط بينهم سيتضح أثناء الاستماع إن شاء الله. نلاحظ هنا الكورسز المطلوبة، الكورسات المطلوبة أو التخصص، يعني هنا مثل arts بمعنى الآداب، computing كمبيوتر طبعا، dentistry طب الأسنان، law اللي هو القانون يعني، وميديسن الطب، وساينس بمعنى العلوم. أحيانا في مثل هذه المواضيع قد ينفع أن تحاول أنك تعمل زي prediction، تتنبأ بالإجابة. الأسهل هنا مثلا lower entry requirement، يعني من هي فيهم التي لا تحتاج إلى علامات عالية أو شروطها ليست صعبة للقبول في هذا التخصص. على الأغلب ستكون هي الآرتس، الآداب، يعني كلية الآداب مثلا لدراسة اللغات وما شابه، قد تكون هي لا تحتاج إلى lower entry requirement. طبعا نحن لم نستمع، يعني we haven't listened to the audio yet، بس I'm just predicting I might be right and I might be wrong. يعني هذا يفضل أن تقومي بعمله في الامتحان أيضا بسرعة في النصف دقيقة أو دقيقة التي تعطى لكم لقراءة الأسئلة. لنستمع الآن ونظهر الإجابات أثناء الاستماع.
Track 22.
What are you hoping to study at university?
I'd like to do medicine because even though it's very competitive to get in, I feel it's a really worthwhile profession, and I think you'd always find yourself employed, whereas I'm not so sure how useful a straight science degree is these days, unless you want to be a chemistry teacher.
Yeah, that's possibly true perhaps, which is why I'm hoping to study law, because I feel with this degree you can go in any direction. You don't have to be a lawyer as such. There are lots of different areas you could work in. But, you know, if you're a dentist, then that's what you are. You're a dentist, and what happens if you find out you don't like the work after all those years of study? What about you, Stan?
I'm aiming to do languages at this stage. There's a lot less pressure to get in, and I think an arts degree gives you a good broad education. I toyed with doing computing, but there are so many people out there studying IT that I thought I'd prefer to study something I'm really interested in.
Fair enough.
لننتقل الآن إلى هذا السؤال، وهو السؤال الأخير لدينا لليوم في هذه الحلقة. سوف نقوم الآن ب يعني أيضا اختيار من متعدد. As usual, we have more choices than we need. This is just to make our lives harder, as you know. This is how IELTS is. Now, what is important about this question is that we have lots of good vocabulary. كثير عندنا كلمات مفيدة. As you can see here, كلمة vehicle is one of the most common words in the IELTS. في عندنا كلمة defects بمعنى عيوب. Limited color range, they're talking here about cars. So when we say limited color range, it means maybe يعني مثلا نوع معين من السيارات ما في عنده غير 2 or 3 colors offered, for example. Hidden costs بمعنى التكاليف المخبأة أو الخفية. للي بيشتري سيارة مثلا أحيانا بيحكي لك السيارة بمبلغ كذا، فأنت بتكون يعني you're happy، يعني إنه سعرها ليس باهظا، لكن تتفاجأ عندما تذهب إليهم إنه والله مثلا إذا أردت إنه السيارة يكون فيها center lock، أو إذا أردت إنه تكون الويندوز مثلا automatic بدك تدفع مبلغ إضافي وهكذا يعني. فهي بنسميها hidden costs. high fuel consumption، fuel بمعنى الغاز باللغة الأمريكية يعني الوقود. consumption is an important word here بمعنى استهلاك، والverb منها consume. طبعا يفضل دائما بالآيلتس نعرف الnoun والverb والadjective وهكذا. lack of leg room، lack بمعنى shortage يعني نقص في مساحة الرجلين يعني عند الجلوس في المركبة. poor road holding، this is also an important expression. It means that the car isn't stable on the road. يعني على الطريق السيارة مش مستقرة أو مش ثابتة. تعرفوا يعني بشكل عام السيارات اللي بتكون cheap يعني a little bit cheaper and they're not made of excellent quality. They are يعني they don't hold well. They're not stable enough on the road. ما في هيك ثبات على الطريق واللي بتكون أغلى أو أكبر حجما بشكل عام يعني تكون أكثر ثباتا. Poor visibility يعني الرؤية في السيارة شوية سيئة خاصة مثلا in the back يعني if you're going reverse اللي عمره سائق بسيارات الفور ويل العالية دائما فيها مشكلة poor visibility وانت بترجع يعني ما بتشوف you can't see when you're going reverse يعني in your car. Slow acceleration كلمة مهمة بمعنى تسارع. تسارع قد تأتي في السيارات وفي أشياء أخرى. يعني عندما تضغط على البنزين مثلا كم ثانية تحتاج حتى تصل إلى 100 كيلومتر per hour كيلومتر في الساعة فهذه بيسموها تسارع في السيارات. لنبدأ الآن نستمع إلى القطعة ونقوم أو إلى for the dialogue and then we put the answers in place. So let's listen to them.
Track 23.
Jim Talk is editor of the monthly automobile magazine Steering Wheel, and he's here to tell us about a recent study they've done.
Hello.
Now, let's start with how you went about your study.
Well, we picked 4 similar cars in 4 different categories and compared a number of features. To ensure objectivity, we refer to them here as vehicles 1, 2, 3 and 4.
OK, so tell us what you looked at.
Well, we tried to balance the good with the bad. For instance, the first car we tested had quite comfortable seats, was well finished, but the passengers complained that it was cramped, especially in the back seat. It proved very economical on fuel, so good for city driving.
But not the car for tall people, eh? And the next one?
Well, by contrast, when it came to petrol consumption, Vehicle 2 proved far from economical, but did have the advantage that you could go from 0 to 100 in only 8.2 seconds. Good on the corners, so good road holding, but definitely not cheap at $85,000.
Bet I can guess what car that was.
Well, our findings on Vehicle 3 were quite interesting. It appeared to be good value for money and so looked attractive, but in fact we found that many standard features are not included in the price, such as air conditioning and remote locking, so the buyer needs to be aware of this.
Yes, I've noticed that many manufacturers now include a lot of things that you used to have to pay for.
Exactly. By contrast, Vehicle 4 had a great many features included in the price, and so is good value for money, but our test drivers found that they were not able to see well through the rear window, especially when reversing. So this is a potential danger, and something we felt the manufacturers had overlooked.
وصلنا إلى نهاية هذه الحلقة. شكرا لكم لحسن الاستماع. أتمنى منكم أن تدعموا القناة بالاشتراك فيها، وأيضا أتمنى أن تعملوا لايك للفيديو، وإذا كانت هنالك أي استفسارات أن تكتبوا في قسم التعليقات. شكرا لكم لحسن المتابعة. Thanks a lot for watching. Have a lovely day. Bye.